Alrighty, let the metric modulation madness continue. Here we are taking the same kind of idea that we did in Unit 8 with the 3/16th note phrases. We're going to expand on that and basically just expand the phrase into a 5-note phrase. Still maintaining a 16th note base, but now we're phrasing, our main phrase that we're going to be working off of is going to be a revolving 5/16th note phrase. To establish that first, what do? We just want to play straight 16th notes on the snare drum, alternating right, left, accenting every other 5th note to really start to hear and feel how that works against the established time. Sounds like this. Here we go. All right, so now that we start to kind of internalize what this 5-note phrase feels like against the time, let's do the same thing we did with the 3/16th note phrase. We're going to take those accents, now we're going to apply them to a kick and snare pattern. And just to have some sort of reference of the original time, original feel, we'll play straight 8th notes on the hi-hat, and then we're going to alternate kick and snare with on every 5th 16th note, because that's what it is. It's a 5-note 16th note phrase. This is how it sounds. All right, now that we kind of have a better idea of how this kick snare pattern is going to work with this 5/16th note phrase against the time, we're going to remove this 8th note hi-hat just so that we can really focus on what this kick snare pattern feels like when it's all by itself. So no more 8th note hi-hat. Hi-hat's only going to match the bass drum and the snare drum, and you'll really start to feel how the whole groove really starts to feel like it's slowing down a bit. And things really start to change here. So still, you got to maintain that 16th note count, or else you'll kind of get lost with the metronome, because there's a lot of syncopated, upbeat 16th note phrases. Always be counting, always be counting, always be counting. Okay, that's the goal. Sounds like this. Let's check it out and count. All right, now we're back from that whirlwind. Now the idea is to be able to kind of get in and out of an established groove. So that's what we're going to do with this 4-bar phrase. We're going to play 2 bars of a straight 8th note feel, really straight ahead, and then we're going to play just 2 bars of this 5/16th note phrase, just as we did previously. So you really start to hear how the time really shifts. Like I said, it almost feels like it's going to slow down a bit. Also, it's starting not on beat 1 of that 3rd measure. It's going to start on the and of 1. I wrote it this way just because it resolves a little bit nicer to get back to the groove. You can do it multiple ways. That's just how we're doing it for today. Check it out. All right, now that you've experienced what it feels like to use this implied 5/16th note modulation within time, you work on a transition. Same kind of thing happens at what we did with the 3/16th note phrase. When we establish an 8th note groove, and then we go into more of this straight ahead, superimposed quarter note groove, the whole feel really shifts a bit. So just to kind of smooth things out a bit, I'm going to play a quarter note hi-hat phrase for the 2 bars of the basic groove, and then we'll play that modulation. You'll start to hear how it might work a little bit better. So here it goes. Check it out. All right, now it's time to change things up a bit. Just as we did with the 3/16 phrase by focusing on not one, but also the 2 accent phrase, we're going to do the same thing with these 5/16 notes. So far, we've only been focusing on the first note of every 5/16 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to focus on the first and the third. So we're going to have 2 accents within a 5-note phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But we're still counting 16th notes. So the whole goal is, even though we're changing this accent pattern, we're still maintaining the original 16th note count. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and so on and so on. So first thing we do, play it on the snare drum, alternating, right, left, straight 16th notes, but accenting this new accent 5 pattern for this 5/16 note phrase. This is how it sounds. Here it goes. Be sure to count. All right, now I think you can guess what's next because we've been using the same kind of template for all these implied phrases, implied 16th note phrases that we're superimposing on this original time field here. So what we're going to do now is take that 2-note 5/16 note accent phrase, 2 accents within the 5/16 notes, and apply it to the kick and snare. And the phrase is just going to go kick, 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 snare, kick, 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 snare, and so on and so on, while we're going to play a straight 8th note hi-hat. So we still have a footing in that original feel, just so that we can kind of hear how this new pattern is going to work against the original time feel. It goes like this. We're still counting 16th notes. It's going to be awesome. You'll love it. Check it out. All right, now that was a little wacky, and it's only going to get wackier, because what are we going to do? Yeah, we're going to remove that 8th note hi-hat now, and we're only going to play the hi-hat when a kick or snare are playing. So now we're really getting into this, abandoning anything of the original time feel and just diving right on into this new phrasing that's going to work against the original established time feel. So if there was ever a time to count, that time would be now, because this is going to be a really syncopated groove, and if you're not outlining where all the 16th notes fall with your count, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, you're going to be guessing, and if you're guessing, you're probably not playing that well. So the thing is, if you can count, it'll help you keep track of where you are, and it'll feel better, and overall just sound better, and you'll be happier with yourself. So this is how it sounds, this is how it goes. Count, count, count. I'll see you after. All right, now here it is, the last exercise for this unit, and what is it? It's a transitional phrase, right? This is how we work with these new ideas. Just to work on them isolated doesn't mean anything, right? In music, it's all about transitions, being able to smooth out transitions, being effectively maneuver between different time fields, different ideas. If we want to own this, we got to make sure we can make these transitions smooth. So what are we going to do? Same thing we've done before. We're going to 4-bar phrase, first 2 bars, original basic groove, and then the last 2 bars is going to be this implied metric modulation using this 5/16 note phrase. Here it is. Check it out. Enjoy. Rock the modulation. See you soon.